might be one of the more dry seminars, but it's super important for you guys to understand all the safety basics and know what to do, how to prevent any injuries related to welding, right? Um, Again, this is not the most exciting. It's not the best seminar we are gonna have, but still, like, it's really important for you to pay attention. So for this, for today, I prepared a small presentation that is gonna last more or less 15 minutes. I pre-record the presentation so I can run it in the back. You will hear my pre-record voice, so I can read. If you have any question, I can read and answer while the presentation is running. After the presentation, I will be showing you another small video about safety PPE, and that will be all for today. It's going to be more or less short, but it's condensed, and there is a lot of things that you might want to reread if you want on the PowerPoints that you already have in the class. So let's start with the small presentation. Just let me know if you can hear my voice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to talk about...
Can you hear the presentation? All right. Okay, so this is gonna last 15 minutes. If you have any questions, just write them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer. And if I can't answer, I will write them down and reply you later for sure. So try to enjoy.
Welding safety basics. We're going to go over the main welding hazards, and we're going to talk about how to prevent any injuries related to this activity. So when you're working with any type of machinery, we can differentiate between different types of risks. We can put in danger the equipment, integrity, or even or PPE, right? Let's say we can scratch the protectors of our glasses, or burn our gloves and make a hole, or we can even damage the power source we are working with. But more important, during welding, we can identify many hazards that can put in danger not only your health, but also other people around you, right? So that's why it's so important to identify and address all the safety basics to avoid any possible injury. Probably one of the most underestimated risks is noise related to welding. In reality, long time exposure to high level of noise are really harmful. When we occasional welders, we just don't pay attention and we might start welding without air plugs. But when we are exposed to many hours of working with high loud machinery, we need to have sense of protection when it comes to noise. So the main tools or the main safety equipment to avoid this is to use earplugs or mufflers or anything that reduce these high level noises. Another different and important risk is fire and burn. We have to understand when we are welding, we are handling a big giant heat source, right? And not only we are heating a piece and we have like a really hot thing in our hands, but also we are producing a lot of sparks around the workpiece. So from making sure we don't touch with our own hands or without gloves any piece that is hot, from understanding all the fire hazards in the environment. For example, don't start welding if we have something that is flammable next to us, or we have like dry wood around. From as simple of do not touch things that are hot, to get and have like safety working procedures and check the surroundings before you start welding. We have to be aware. The PPE or the ways we can prevent this kind of fires or burns are basically checking our surroundings, having a good work habits, and also using like proper PPE, like gloves, closed-toe shoes, jeans, or any pants that is not flammable. Like we shouldn't use synthetic clothes to when we are welding, and also like a proper jacket like leather or wool those are the kind of textiles that we recommend, or everyone recommends when it comes to welding. Another risk associated with welding is risk of electroshock. Of course, we are working with power sources that have that they manage really high voltages and high currents. Although we are not going to put our hands inside of a machine, we are welding. It's an open circuit. We are taking advantage of that to create an arc. So closing that circuit with your own body can be really, really harmful. If we are working with direct current, it can be bad. But if we're working with AC, that's when things get complicated, and things we should be really careful. So again, the ways we can prevent this kind of injuries is using proper PPE and proper shoes, so everything that prevents you to close the circuit, like by insulating your body from the ground, right? And also good work habits. That's something we usually don't mention, and we always make point on having the proper PPE, but also we have to have good work habits when it comes to welding. And other big hazard, and this might be the one that we want to go a little bit over it, is the arc rates or rates itself, because rates, they can come from an arc or from the laser. They naturally they are different, but the symptoms or the injuries we can have if we're exposed to these rays are kind of similar, and the way we prevent any exposure to the rays are again similar but not the same. So we have to know, or we have to acknowledge that arc rays are different from laser rays, and the PPE is different but similar. So arc rays. Basically, the arc produces rays that are in the infrared and ultraviolet spectrum. The infrared spectrum is the one that we won't feel, and it can lead to retinal burning or cataracts, and those are long-term injuries. And in the ultraviolet rays, they produce what they call in the welding field welder's flash, which is basically you will feel your eyes getting like burned and dry and really, really discomfort and maybe sweating, and sometimes you can even get blind for several hours. And this injury you can feel it like after welding, not immediately. And basically we have to be protected from these types of rays by using a helmet and also proper PPE. But for our eyes, the auto darkening or any welding helmet that filters and those rays, we should use it, and they're good enough to weld. Rays can also affect your skin, and by saying this is like ultraviolet rays, they can burn and produce you skin cancer if the exposure to welding rays for a really, really short time, it can be similar as getting a super heavy tan at noon for hours. So you will feel like your skin is burnt and gets red and looks like a suntan, but it's actually not a suntan, and it's, well, similar to suntan, because sun also, we can also get UV rays from the sun, but it's much more harmful than being under the sun. So again, the way we have to we can prevent this type of injuries, like using a bath glove and covering all our skin with PPE, from gloves to jackets to cover our necks, and our face shield or mask is going to cover our face, and every skin that is exposed to these rays, it's going to get burned. So the main idea is to expose the minimum or nothing to these rays. Also, arc rays, they can react with compounds that are in the air and produce like hazardous compounds like ozone or nitrogen oxides, or even worse compounds. So we have to be aware that rays react with the environment and also can affect our health. Laser rays, Again, the symptoms that you feel, you will feel they are similar, but the spectrum is different. So if we can see near the infrared, we will have the same, the rays that are near the infrared, we have the same effect that the infrared rays. We will have problems in the long term with our eyes, and of course the ultraviolet and the will cause us what the weather's flash that we talk about. Again, the way we prevent or any type of injury is using safety glasses with the appropriate filter. So lasers, arc lasers, they are coming in a certain spectrum, and we need to know that spectrum. We need to know the characteristic of our own laser rays to choose the proper PPE, the proper glass that can filter those rays, because there are different type of rays, different type of lasers with different spectrums, and we have to be really careful, because if we choose the wrong glass with the wrong laser, it will be like using nothing, and that's really bad. Another big hazard when it comes to welding, it's welding fumes. We are really concerned about all the fumes that are produced during the welding process that can affect our health or the health of the surrounding people, of course, right? So metal vapors, they condensate and they are suspended in the air, and then they're ready to inhale. And if we inhale those metal vapors, we are gonna get really sick, right? This metal when I say metal vapors, I mean metals that can even come from the consumables, from the base metal, from the coatings. For example, when if you ever try to weld zinc coated plates, the zinc metal vapors are really harmful, and it's a really big issue and concern, right? So how do we address this problem? How do we prevent inhaling welding fumes? Well, basically, we need ventilation, yeah, which can be natural if you were welding outside or on a big shop, or it can be mechanical if you're getting assist by a fan or something similar that is blowing some air, right? Also, we can have the help of local exhausts. They're really helpful, and those are the ones that we have in the lab. Even though our lab is really big and we don't do much of welding, we have local exhausts that they're devices that they capture the fumes away from the welder, right? We we can have two different uh, local exhaust. We can have the what they call the low vacuum, high volume. Those are the ones that you will see like in the lab if you ever go, or you will see the safety video in a few minutes, or in another videos from the lab. You will see these arms with high fume structures. Those are low vacuum, high volume, because they extract. They don't produce a lot of vacuum, but they extract a lot of volume from the surrounding of the workpiece. They are really big arms, and they can be mobile, but they work a little bit further away from the piece, right? And we also can have what they call high vacuum, low volume, which are like more concentrated nozzles that they can be even in the at the gun or at the tip of the gun, and they extract a lot of they produce a lot of vacuum, but low in a low volume, so they have to be much more closer to the workpiece, like you can see in the picture. And which one is better, which one is worse, it doesn't work like that. It's depending on your applications and what we are doing. We need either one or the other one. So it's important for you to understand that there are different type of local exhaust, and the type of exhaust that you need will depend on the application. Finally, this is some sort of to understand that all these metal vapors, they can produce different illnesses, right? You can get sick from inhaling from barium to manganese. Manganese is it's a really bad disease. That's one of the most common diseases for welders, because steels, they have a lot of manganese in their chemical composition, and manganese is tends to evaporate at lower temperatures than other elements, and they are suspended. They condense and they're suspended in the air. And if you inhale this for not a long, like if you inhale this for a long term, you get sick, and the sickness is like the illness is like similar to Parkinson's. So it's a really common like illness among welders. So that's it's really important, and all the welding organizations they put a lot of effort on reducing this the manganese content on the shops. They measure this because this is it's a big real problem that has been brought into light not too many years ago when they started realizing that this is a major concern for welders, right, and for their safety. Also, I don't have to explain like lead in lead or zinc or nickel. Those are again like any metal vapor that you inhale, it's going to be bad for your health. So the idea is to reduce the amount or minimize the amount of low metal vapors that are in the air. So equipment safety, as we say, we can damage the equipment that we are using. If we are using high-tech equipment like laser, we can damage the fibers, and that's a really big problem. Or we can even damage like a gun or like a torch from a welder, or even the cables if we don't, if we are not careful, or we are welding in not the proper way. So we have to be concerned about that, because this damaging the equipment not only like reduces the production time if you're working with welding, but also can lead to like health injuries, right? So it's important to always be aware that we can also damage the equipment, right? And of course, if we treat poorly the PPE, let's say we scratch our helmets or glasses that are like protecting us from the rays, or we have a hole in our jacket and we don't care, or in our gloves or in our jeans, those are the things that we also have to be aware that having a damaged PPE will also jeopardize our health, right?
All right, guys. That was the 15-minute presentation about safety. We could go for days talking about safety if we want to go into much more detail. And if you are interested, I can give you some more things to read about safety, but this is the least you have to know when you're just stepping into welding lab. The things that we must know and we must have in our minds when we are getting into a lab. Any well, if you have any questions, I guess you don't have, but if you have, you can always write them in the chat. What I'll show you now is it's the last part of this safety seminar, which is a small video showing you the PPE. We don't have any models in the lab, so I use myself. So, but let me see if I can share with this with you. And while I'm showing you this video, I will stop it at some point, and I will ask you for. I will just make some comments, or I will ask you for your feedback. But this is the how the PPE looks like for the ones that never step into a welding lab. Can you guys see the video? Perfect. So first of all, as I mentioned in the seminar, in the 15-minute video, the fume hose. This is a low vacuum, high volume fume hose. You can see the big arm going all over the system, their system into one, on top of one of the weld tables that we have, that we actually weld on that. So this arm is mobile, so we can move it if we're welding here or on other parts in the lab. We have two of these ones, and we can move it as much as we want. Uh, So if we keep going with the video, you will see me step in. This is how we get into a lab. The first thing we have to mention is, like, of course, closed shoes. I'm using like work boots. That's good. Jeans and or long pants, and they have to be not synthetic, because you don't want to catch on fire with synthetic clothes. There is one thing here that I did wrong. Can someone point out what I'm doing wrong in this video? I have something that it's not in the best safety practices. Can someone tell me? No, short sleeves. I will be using a jacket, so short sleeve it doesn't matter. It's gonna get hot. The my shirt is okay as long as I'm wearing the jacket, but something on bottoms down that it shouldn't be. It's small detail, but welders, they know. No, I'm gonna put my wearing. Okay, yeah, I should have get into the lab with the safety goggles. That's true. The helmet, no. I will be putting all. Yes, that's the long pants. Long pants are they are long pants, but I have them rolled, and that's something we shouldn't do. My ankles are exposed, and they are rolled, so any spark can get into that rolled pants and catch on fire. So yes, that's the thing that you will see that it's wrong in the video. The rest, the helmet, of course, the safety goggles, and the short sleeves, you will see that I'm gonna wear all the PPE. But yeah, the roll pants and the ankle exposed are something that, if for good practices, you shouldn't have. So as you can see, that's a leather welding jacket. You will see that it will cover all my arms and my neck as well. So you can see that every single piece of PPE works for prevents many hazards at the same time. So we have to check on them and check the integrity of every equipment of PPE every time we put it on. And this is something important to mention, that the new generation of welding helmets are auto darkening helmets. I don't know if you ever weld before and what type of helmet you use, but if you come to a lab in the future, you will see we have all type of helmets. We have the ones that you have to put them just right when you start the arc. You have to bring it down. These ones you can see through as long as there is no arc, and when the arc starts, the helmet, it will auto dark, and we will protect you. So that's important to know. And these ones, they are good and they're efficient, but you need to know how to use them. And by saying how to use them, you need to know in which mode you have to put it. It's not rocket science. You have to put it well, and then you have to choose the right shade and sensitivity and delay that you want. There are recommended standards for that, but it's important that you just don't put it and start welding without turning on, because that would be really bad. So this is how you should look like when you're gonna start to weld, except that don't roll your pants. If you have any questions, please, you can write them, or you can send me an email. And if you don't, this is all I have for safety today. The other thing I would like to mention is about the procedure handbooks. I think Dr. Mendes sent you an email about them. If you're interested in buying them from us, you can send me an email and we can coordinate how to do it. If not, I can always guide you through to buy them through the link or website. If you don't have any question, that's all for me. Dr. Mendes, I don't know if you're online.
I am, and the same thing. If we have time in case anybody has a question or would like to discuss anything else, you can send through the chat box or by email. Either way, we care a lot that we have a smooth beginning of the class. And even if we're not going to the lab in person, I still believe you're going to learn a whole lot of things. And with the new material we're preparing, you might learn even some more than previous years too. I have a question here about what edition of the book we have.
I think there is only like, it has been like the same edition since I started. So I can check as soon as I go to the lab.
Okay, we are using the 14th edition. If you have other edition, I believe it's not gonna make a whole lot of difference, but I have not compared. I think I have the 13th edition too, and it's more or less the same. If you have an older edition, let me know. Actually, you might have a gem in your hands if you have a really old edition. But this edition we are using is from 1994. So, yeah, chances are that getting anything older than that will be difficult. All right, I think we're good. We can stop here. We are stopping a little bit earlier than usual, but that's a good thing. I'll check emails and I'll post the videos of today in our e-class. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.